Hey guys, I'm Jeff Sheets here at TrueFire's Guitar Shed. Today in this episode, we have 3 really cool jazz lessons for you. They're all about jazz comping. Now these 3 lessons are going to cover iconic jazz subjects like voice leading, 2-5-1 progressions, and learning one of the most essential rhythms, the Charleston. These lessons are all taught by top TrueFire educators, Sean McGowan, Frank Vignola, and Mimi Fox. Now these lessons are individual lessons taken from full-blown courses. If you want to check out the whole course, you can pick those up at TrueFire.com or just follow the links below. That'll take you to the course where you can get the tablature and notation for these lessons. So without further ado, let's get into our first lesson where Sean McGowan teaches us a classic rhythm, something you really need to know if you're going to be a jazz player, the Charleston rhythm.
One of the most commonly used rhythms in jazz, especially classic jazz, is the Charleston rhythm. And this has been around for a long time. There was a dance called the Charleston, and it really is a swing, and it inherently swings because the first chord is played on the downbeat, followed by a chord on the offbeat or the upbeat. So let's take a look at measure 11 on your PDF handout. We have basically the Charleston is on, off. And the 2 different ways of articulating that would be short notes or long notes. Actually, there's 4 different ways of articulating it. You could go long, 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 short, or short, long, and short, short. And each of those is illustrated in this next example. These 4 bars. We're working through a 2-5-1 6 progression in the key of G. And if we just look at this before we play with a click track, we could play, just again to add some textural variety, we can play the 2 A minor 7 chords short. So as soon as you press down, just release. You don't even have to come off the strings, but just release the pressure with your fretting hand to make the chord really short and punchy. Same for the D. And then in the 3rd bar, the G major 7, now we have kind of a long-short combination. So we have, and then that is also repeated with the E7 chords. Of course, you could have any combination. So if you had long, long, it would be, or short, short, long, short, or short, long. So those 4 variations will give you a lot to work with. Let's play through the written example with a click track. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Okay, so be sure to practice the Charleston rhythm with all 4 variations in articulation, like you did with the rhythms before. Maybe try to write those articulations out, use a little dot to indicate staccato, and, a line for a longer note, sustained note. And, make a conscious effort to employ these different articulations as well as the rhythms. But just start off keeping that consistent Charleston rhythm before you get into variations, adding the different articulations, and that will really make your comping swing.
All right, next up, Frank Vignola is going to talk about options for a 2-5-1 progression. Now, a 2-5-1 progression is probably the most used and most popular progression in jazz music. Many, many jazz songs have a 2-5-1 somewhere in there. So it's a good idea to have as many options as you can. Check out this lesson.
Our first 2-5-1 major option is over an A minor 7, D7 to G. We use an A minor 9, a D7 flat 9 with a sharp 5, and then a G major 9. Let's take a closer look.
1, 2, 1.
So our first 2-5-1 major option is an A minor 9. Right? It's an A minor 9. Now, an A minor 9 is a 5-note chord. You have your 1, your flat 3, your 5, your 7, and your 9. But as you'll see throughout this course, you don't always have to use all 5 notes. As a matter of fact, rarely do we use all 5 notes. So this is your A minor 9, and the concept here is to take this ninth, move it down for the D7, which becomes a D7 with a flat 9 and the sharp 5, and then move it down one more for a G major 9. We're moving down 1/2 step, and that's an approach you could take when comping, is to use a top note. All right, move it down a 1/2 step, put the next chord, it's a D7, flat 9, and then one more step down, 1/2 step down, that's the 9th of G. Now you could do things like little rhythmic patterns, you know. Any really kind of rhythmic pattern that you could come up with would be good, or just hold the chord out for the whole bar. Nice and clean. And then maybe a rhythmic pattern. So that's option number 1. Let's move on to option number 2.
Finally, Mimi Fox is going to take us through a 12-bar blues. But this will sound like an amazing 12-bar blues because she's using voice leading to tie all of these chords together and just make them flow. She'll show you several options and talk about kind of how they all work together. So take a listen to this.
Now that we've talked about voicings and how to embellish and extend your basic chords, now I want to talk about actually doing voice leading, which is really a more sophisticated concept, but very, very important for the guitar trio. Okay, so now I want to demonstrate voice leading through a 12-bar blues. So here we go. Okay, so I don't know what you heard when you listened to me just play that now, going through voice leading through a 12-bar blues, but let me take you through some of the different things that I'm hearing and how I'm approaching it, okay? So one of the first things you have to do is you have to learn how to harmonize your scales. And this is something that I go into great depth in my TrueFire course, Flying Solo, the art of solo jazz guitar playing, because one of the things that is very helpful for solo guitar is also very good to have for a guitar trio, and that's being able to harmonize the scale with a chord. So I might start on this string and just take a B-flat Mixolydian scale, basic B-flat scale. It starts on the 9 here on the C, and I'll put a chord to each of those. Now I can do the top string, which starts on an F. So now I get this. Oh, excuse me, second chord. Let me try again. And that kind of is really, if you map that out all over the neck, when you go to the C minor chord in the blues in B flat, it would be the same thing. You'd be using C Dorian or B flat major. So excuse me. There I did 2 different strings. I might probably that. Okay, so if you practice that with all of your chords, taking the appropriate scale for each chord, then you will be able to map out just what I was doing, which was giving me. Okay, so that's a great way to practice it. Move up and down on the top 2 strings. Now I'd like to show you voice leading over a simple minor 2-5-1. Okay, so we've got the key of A minor, which is the 1, and now the 2 chord, B minor 7 flat 5, and E7 will be our 5 chord. Okay, down here, very simple chords. Okay, so those are the basic chords. So what I'm going to be doing is first playing the basic chords in a nice rhythm, and then I'm going to voice lead. So here's the basic rhythm.
Thanks for joining me here at the Shed. I hope you've dug all of these lessons. If you want the full courses or the tab and notation, make sure you follow the links below. And as always, I'm Jeff Sheets. I'm telling you to just keep working out in the shed.